Hi everyone, I'm Jodi and welcome to my channel and welcome to number 3 in the My Top Favorite Products series. Today is the highly anticipated, okay, that might be over exaggerated, but I have had requests for the foundation or the face in this series. Today what I have for you, aside from sort of that sunscreen moisturizer, is primers, concealer, foundation, bronzer, setting spray, and powder. We've got you covered today in the top 5. Now I will put these in order of the least expensive to the luxury high end. What I will say is that they perform similarly to one another, and if there's one that really does outperform from a luxury perspective, that outperforms a drugstore or vice versa, I will let you know. Otherwise, you could consider the less expensive, more affordable drugstore product as a dupe for the luxury in this category. But these are products that no one's purchased for me. No one has sent me to sponsor. I've paid for these. They are in my arsenal. Now, in fairness, I do keep a travel pack always packed. So I don't use all of these products every single day. I have some in my travel pack. I have some in my vanity where I get ready. They are around. So I don't want you to think, oh my gosh, why do you use 5 foundations? I don't use 5 foundations. It just depends on what I'm using it for. Most of them are semi-matte and semi-medium to full coverage. But if you have a brand or a full coverage foundation that you love, but you don't like to wear full coverage, just dilute it down a little bit with some moisturizer or your sunscreen. Either will work. Then you get the benefit of sort of that coverage, but you don't have the thickness, if you will, of a full coverage foundation. So let's go ahead and jump into it. The first things first, I always start with my sunscreen. This is always linked in, and I'll have all these products linked in the description box below in case you are interested in any of them. That's where they will be. I always have this sunscreen linked because I think sunscreen is just so important. And again, if I could tell my younger self anything, it would have been to wear sunscreen. I love this one. It's the La Roche-Posay. I talk about it in every video, but I can't talk about it enough. Whether it's a skincare, anti-aging, or beauty makeup, the first product is always going to be sunscreen because it carries over into both categories. So that is $45. It is a little pricey, but it is highly effective, and it's SPF of 50. Then we go into moisturizers. I don't tend to use a ton of moisturizer on my skin pre-makeup application because I wash my face with coconut oil every day, so I already have sort of a nice, soft, moisturized skin. If you don't do that, and I highly recommend that you do, I'll link that video up here. It's been a lifesaver for me. But if you don't, whatever moisturizer you use, if you have more oily skin, I really like this La Roche-Posay. It is a double repair daily moisturizer. What I love about it is it has neaminidase in it, and it's also oil-free. So if you do have oily skin, this might be a really good one for you to try, and it's an SPF of 30. I have not tried any products in this brand that I have not loved. So I highly recommend trying some of these. So if you're looking for a good moisturizer, this one's $19.99. If you have more dry skin, I think you could still use this because it is extra moisturizing. Again, if you like full coverage makeup, if you like the formulation of a full coverage, but you don't like to wear full coverage, I would just blend half and half, 50% moisturizer, 50% foundation. Or if you don't use a moisturizer, half and half with your sunscreen and your foundation. You should get the same wear out of it. Next, let's jump over to primers. If I'm going to wear a full coverage foundation, I do not wear a primer. The fuller coverage foundation, it's just a thicker foundation. So when you put a primer on and then a thick foundation, you're just adding layer to layer to layer, which just gets to be really cakey by the time you add any type of a bronzer, then a setting spray, and then a powder or powder setting spray, depending on which way you layer yours. I layer mine setting spray and then powder, but we'll get to that. So in terms of primers, if you do use one of my favorites is this Neutrogena, and it's $14.97. It's called Neutrogena Glow, and I like it because it's got a hyaluronic acid in it, and it's very hydrating. It's not thick at all, even though it looks like a serum. It's not really it doesn't wear like a serum. It's not thick, it's not sticky. It just gives a really nice glow to the skin. I'll let that dry for a little bit, and then I will put a foundation over it. This is usually what I will wear if I'm gonna wear a BB cream. So if I'm gonna wear like IT BB cream, IT Cosmetics, then this is the primer that I will wear underneath that. The second one that I do reach for so much that I can't find it, and I just got back from a trip from getting married, and I think I must have put this Smashbox in my travel kit, which is the Smashbox Photo Finish for $38. There's a couple different types of Smashbox primers. I have not used all of them, but I do like that photo finish, so much so that it was in my little kit for my wedding. The second or the third one is, and the Smashbox is $38. It's a little pricey and it's not very big, but it works. Especially, I don't use the Smashbox underneath my eyes because I do think it's a little thick for that, but I use it right where I have larger pores, which is on each side of my nose, sort of in that cheek area. If you guys have that, you know what I'm talking about. That Smashbox really seems to fill in those pores and give sort of a blurred finish to your skin. The other one I really like is this Laura Geller Spackle. Now, if you have more dry skin, for those of you, my dry skin friends, this is the one that I would absolutely recommend. And it is hydrating. And I use this underneath my eyes as well as in this area if I'm not using just specific targeted primers. I'm not the type to wear primer here, primer there, different primer there. It's one primer if I'm going to wear a primer, and it's either going to be one type here or it's going to be a primer over everything. What really determines what primer I'm going to wear is what foundation I'm going to wear. So again, if it's a BB cream, I'll go with a really light Neutrogena. If I'm feeling dry and I want to sort of cut down the thickness of my full coverage, I'll go with this Laura Geller or some of the other two that I'm about to show you. The next one is the YSL. This is a splurge. It's $44. It does have little gold speckles in it, which is beautiful. I do think that it adds a glow, sort of a golden bronze to your skin. Now, not enough to go, gosh, you look like you have a tan or something, but enough of a healthy glow, which is what my number 5 really does, which is why I like it. But this one does have little tiny gold specks in it. You can maybe see those if it'll focus. They're really, really pretty. Those do show through in the foundation when you put it on, or in the glow of your skin. And I would use this one, I've used it some obviously, I would use this one again on a lighter, light to medium coverage foundation that is a semi-matte. If you're gonna wear a matte foundation, something with a glow in it doesn't make a ton of sense because you've got that glow trying to come through, but then you've got that matte finish. So it doesn't, you sort of lose the effect of the benefits of a nice primer like this. The fifth one is definitely a splurge. It is clearly one that I love to use. This is the Guerlain. It is $74. It has gold flakes in it as well, but they're bigger. They're bigger gold flakes. But what I love about it, it truly does give this golden, healthy glow from within. And I do wear this with all of my foundations except the thickest one, unless I cut it in half with my sunscreen, which is typically what I'll do. I'll take my full coverage foundation, cut it in half, so one pump of the foundation, one pump of my sunscreen, and I'll put that on over this thicker Guerlain because it just gives a nice glow with a semi-matte foundation finish. So that one's $74. I know it's a splurge, but if you're looking for one high-end product, that might be one. Otherwise, I'd follow up with one of these foundations that's coming up next. So after the primer, then I go into the concealer and I start to conceal any areas or blemishes or under my eyes or above my eyes, or really I've been noticing right through here gets purple, and just concealing that has made a big difference in my overall makeup look. In terms of concealers, obviously this Age Rewind by Maybelline, I just love it, and I love it because it's not very thick and it's easy to put on. I love that I can just get it from the end, and I don't use the ball, but I get it on my finger. It's very easy to apply and it's not thick, and it's good coverage. You can blend it. Coverage really does cover well, that Age Rewind. The next one that I reach for a lot is the L'Oreal Infallible Full Coverage Full Wear, and this is $12.99. I like this on days that I'm not gonna wear a lot of makeup, because I'm just gonna cover up this little freckle, because it's thick enough for good coverage, but I don't feel like I need it under a foundation because of how thick it is. If I'm gonna wear a full coverage foundation, I won't reach for this one because of how thick it is, but if I'm gonna wear just a tinted moisturizer or a BB cream, then this is my go-to. The next one is Clinique, and Clinique has this even better, and it came out about a year and a half ago, I think, and it's $22.95. Now, the reason I bought this originally, and this is a darker one because I use it sometimes as a contour stick, the darker one, and then I have a lighter one as well, is I bought it because I thought this little cushiony applicator would be similar to the Maybelline one, and it's not. It's really hard to get the product up, but you don't have to use it. It does have a doe foot applicator at the end if you wanted to do it that way. And I thought the idea of this would be great, but it didn't work so well. But the product still works really nicely. This is a nice full coverage, but the thickness of it, see that L'Oreal Infallible just covered up like that little freckle that I have there. And you can't even tell that it's covered. The reason I like this Clinique is similar to that Infallible, it's just a little more expensive, is the coverage. It just covers well, and it's thin enough, opposite of the Infallible by L'Oreal, to put underneath a foundation, whether it's a thicker full coverage or a medium to light coverage foundation. The next one that I love, and this is the one I grab if, well, let's go, because Dior is actually number 4. There is a number 5, but there's a reason it's number 5, which is the higher price point. This is the Dior Skin Correct. This one is $30. I have it in color 1.5 neutral, which I am neutral. I can go 1 or 2 tones warm or 1 or 2 neutral, or 1 or 2 cool, but I'm really more of a neutral, which makes it easy, I guess, to find stuff. But then if some products are too warm in their neutral tones, then it's hard to counteract that. But anyway, so this is the 1.4 in the Dior. I like this one because, again, it's a doe foot applicator, but I like it because of the thickness or lack of thickness in this concealer. It really glides on easy. It's very, very hydrating, and its coverage is impeccable. So I don't really have real purpley veins, but if I did, you wouldn't know it because I just covered them up with this fantastic concealer by Dior. Love this. It's $30. If I'm not going to wear a foundation or a tinted moisturizer, it's summer, I'm going to be out by the pool, or if I'm going to be on vacation and I'm going to be in and out of water, I love this Makeup Forever Ultra High D stick. Now, I love it because it covers, it's thicker, so it's not like you're going to be able to put this under your eyes and be able to have a crease-free under eye area at 50, unless you're blessed with really, really great skin with no wrinkles. Because it's much thicker, but it's thick enough that when you mix it with a moisturizer or your sunscreen, its coverage is almost as good as a concealer. I think many of us probably saw that Wayne Goss video that went out, maybe 6 months ago, about why you could get away with wearing concealer as your foundation. And I would absolutely buy into that school of thought and have done that with this concealer because of the thickness, but blendability of it and the wear. It's just, but I tend to lean more towards full coverage foundation. So that's probably why I love this one. It is $43 and it's not a huge size. This one that I have is 115. So that's the color that I use from a concealer perspective in the Ultra High Def from Makeup Forever. I'm a huge fan of Makeup Forever. Their brushes are really good. Little on the pricey side, but definitely a good splurge or a good gift for somebody. After concealer, then I go over to foundation, and this is the one that you guys are probably most excited about. So the one I reached for, that is, you guys, this is $11 and it is a full coverage. It's called Phora. I believe I'm saying that right. It's P-H-O-E-R-A. And it is a light feel, but a good full coverage with a semi-matte finish. Now, this I got off of Amazon. I wear the color Buff, and I will wear this one if I just want a nice light coverage, but more than a BB cream, and I don't want a full face of thick foundation, but I do want sort of that glowy semi-matte. Now, I will use this Guerlain underneath, so $74 for primer with an $11 foundation. That says a lot about this foundation, that you'll mix those two together, and it's just a really pretty glow between the two of them. The next one that I love to reach for, I've used this in tutorials before, and I usually have 2 of these on hand because I'd be lost without having an extra. And this is the Milani Conceal Perfect 2-in-1. It is a thicker semi-matte foundation, but it is sweat-proof, waterproof. If I'm going skiing or snowmobiling where I'm going to be out in the elements, I'm putting a helmet on and off. If I'm going to be in water, out of water, I will absolutely reach for this. I have a friend that is going through that spot in life right now as you get a little bit older, and she's having these flashes of just pure heat for 30 seconds and then they're gone, and she's like, what am I gonna wear? And I said I would absolutely do this Milani. It's fantastic for that. Now I've never put it on and went swimming and got out of it and to see what it looked like, but I've tested it in almost every other elements of sweatproof or waterproof, and I love this stuff. And it is $12. No, $9.99. $9.99, and I'll link all these below. The next one that I loved, and it is cruelty-free and vegan, and so is this next one that I'm reaching for, which is the Revolution. I wear, in the Milani, I wear the color creamy nude. Yes, creamy nude in the Milani. And in the Revolution, I wear color F4. Same reasons that I like this Milani. It's almost the same foundation in my mind. They're both the medium to full coverage. They can be cut down with, blending it with some moisturizer or some sunscreen for a nice full coverage, but a semi-matte finish and lack of concealer. So if I'm not wanting to add that extra step of concealer, then I reach for either one of these, and this is $12 and the Milani is $9.99. So really good foundations for aging skin, wrinkly skin, and I don't wear a primer under these typically. And then the next one is Charlotte Tilbury. Now we're bumping up in price. The Charlotte Tilbury is the Airbrush Flawless Foundation. This is $44. I wear it in 4.5. I usually wear this one in the winter where I'm okay with a thicker foundation because I'm not going to be in the sun and a lot of light, because it is very good coverage. It is an airbrush look. It covers everything. The thing with this one is because it covers so good, I don't wear a primer under it because it is much thicker full coverage. It covers so good that you have to, in my opinion, use a bronzer with it, because otherwise your skin looks all one color, and no one's skin in the dimensions of light and shading and highlighting and the way light plays off of the contours of your face is all one color. So you have to be comfortable wearing either bronzer, some contour, some highlight, some blush for sure, just to give some dimension so that you look alive when you wear this, because the coverage is so darn good with it. So know that, but it's worth it. Very good coverage. And then the last one, and this Charlotte Tilbury is $44. My go-to that I recommend if I'm not recommending the Milani is this All Hours Foundation by YSL. I use 40 in BD, and this one I do not wear a primer under either. I will cut it with my sunscreen, and then I will put a little bit of bronzer on and some blush, this is the one that I'm wearing today. And I just think it wears really well throughout the day. Now I will put a setting spray on top of it, but underneath it, all I really have is some sunscreen by itself, and then sunscreen and this blended together for, to sort of dilute this out a little bit. And then I'll use some cream blush, some cream bronzer maybe, or some contour, and then some setting spray. So it says it's up to 24 hours. I've never tried it for 24 hours. One of these days I'm just gonna try to stay it for 24 hours so I can give an honest opinion. I don't know how it can last as good, but at my age, at 51, I don't need to test foundation for 24 hours. I'm good in bed by 10. Those are my go-to foundations. I'll also link a foundation tutorial that I did that just walks you through the way I layer the foundation and the face products to give you a good, flawless, lack of wrinkles, lack of cakiness look to your foundation. And it's really about the way you apply the layers, and if you use primer or not, and then if you use setting spray and setting powder, and if so, in which orders. You'll want to watch that because it has changed the way my makeup looks, both behind all this light, but really out in the natural light, which is the telltale sign for me. After the foundation, then what we're gonna go to bronzer. Now from bronzer, we're gonna go to setting spray, and then we're gonna finish in powder. Bronzer's probably no big surprise to anybody. My first one is the Milani. This is $10.99. This is the Silk Matte Suntan. I've highlighted this one before. It's just a nice bronzy color. I do have some bronzer on today, so this might not wear as well as we would like it to. You probably won't be able to really see it on camera, but I love it because it looks good on my skin in the summertime. It's probably a little bit too dark for winter because I do drop down a shade in foundation. I bring everything a little lighter in the winter than I do in the summertime. And I'm right in the middle of sort of that transition right now. That is $10.99. The next one is the Hoola, and I will transition to this Hoola, which is the Hoola Light in the winter. In the summertime, I use the Hoola Benefit that everybody uses. I mean, we've seen this a million times. This is $17 for the smaller one. My stepdaughter, who I love dearly, she loves this color too, and she's got more of an olive, really pretty light skin, and it looks good on her skin tone as well. It's a pretty universal color. Unless you have darker skin tones, then this might look a little bit more orangey on your skin. But I love this one, and I'll be transitioning to Hoola Light now that we are approaching the winter time, and I'll have a lighter foundation. Next is the RMS Beauty, and I've highlighted this one on my channel before because it's a clean beauty brand, and I order it from Beautylish, which I absolutely love ordering anything from Beautylish. And I'll just give them a plug. I'm not sponsored by them, but if you've ever received a package from Apple or this Maya Chia that I use their products, I love. Beautylish sends you, when you order something from their website, they send it to you and you just feel like you got a present from someone. You just feel like you got a gift. They just wrap it so nice, and there's a little handwritten note on top of the box when you open it. You can see exactly who packaged it. Their customer service is fantastic. They're out of San Francisco. I'm not sponsored by Beautylish at all. That's where I order a lot of my products. If it's something that I just need to get quickly, they ship very fast, so I don't want to commit them to shipping within a certain number of days, but I am in Seattle and they're in San Francisco, and I usually get things within 2 days. So I think that's pretty reasonable for as much stuff as they have to look at in their inventory. So if you're looking for a good website just to browse, or you just want to kind of window shop, Beautylish is a great website. So again, this one I love because it's an illuminating, in fact, I think they call it illuminating. Yes, it's illuminating powder bronzer, and it does have a little bit of a glow to it. This one I use more as a contour and a bronzer all in once for summer. This color specifically is going to be too dark for winter for me, but it will look really pretty on the right skin tone. I think this will be a really pretty bronzer on more dark complected skin. And this one, if I didn't already say, is $38. My number 4 is, again, not going to be a big surprise to anybody. It's, NARS Laguna. Now, this one is matte, and this is the one that I used a lot this summer. I don't think I'll reach for it. I'll go back to the non-matte version as I go through the winter and then into spring next year. It's really pretty. I'm kind of over matte in terms of my skin complexion. I really just want to get more back to sort of a dewy look. So from my foundations and my powders and my setting sprays and my bronzers, I'm going to go back to more of a semi-matte, more that dewy glow look. I mean, the matte was beautiful, and on some people it still looks phenomenal. I'm kind of over it, ready for something new. Now we're going to go to setting spray. Yes, that is correct. I go all my products, mostly my cream products, then setting spray, then my powder products, and then I powder over all of it. Now I know that might seem weird, so again, I'm gonna link that video so that you have it. You can check it out and see why I do it that way. It has changed my foundation game. I certainly can't say it's life-changing, but it has changed my makeup game. So hopefully you'll give it a try and let me know what you think in the comments after you've tried it. So in terms of setting spray, I would have been stretching to come up with 5. There's certainly more than 5 on the market. I've used the All Nighter by Urban Decay. It definitely dries quick, and it does do what it says. It holds your makeup in place. If you were going to be in a wedding or sitting out in the sun or the heat for a long period of time, that would be a good one because it's definitely it freezes everything on your face. But it's too much alcohol for my aging skin. And I do like the MAC Fix Plus, but it's really truly more of a primer than a setting spray. I've talked about the Tarte Hangover before. I like that one because it does not contain alcohol. It's just a huge bottle, and by the time you get halfway down the bottle, the spray gets so sticky and gunky that it's not even fun to use the rest of the bottle, and they're big bottles. So I couldn't feel good about recommending any other two other than this e.l.f. Dewy Coconut Setting Mist and then this NYX Dewy Finish. Now I love them both equally. if I'm being honest, I think the NYX is $7 and the e.l.f. is like $8. I reach for the e.l.f. more because of the smell. It smells like coconut, but not that strong coconut smell from like suntan lotion or suntan oil. But I use this underneath my eyes. A little tip for concealer under your eyes is I will use this. I'll put on concealer under my eye. I will then set it with a setting spray, wait for that to dry, push that in really good, and then I will put a light dusting of powder. And for that under eye powder, I will usually use the RCMA. So that's how I do my under eye, and boy, does it keep your under eyes from creasing. So they're both good. I have one in my travel, but I love the smell of this one, this e.l.f. Dewy Coconut. So if you've not tried this, e.l.f.'s got some very impressive products. I have to say, I've been really impressed with them. And then to finish it up with powder. So the last thing that I will do is just grab my powder brush. This is the It Cosmetics. And going back to powder, I use the e.l.f. Halo Glow. This is a little bit of a glowy setting powder. This one is $8. I use the color Light. It's just, I'm gonna have powder all over my desk. Just take my word for it. Let me see if I can show it to you this way. It's a nice powder. It's not quite a banana color. It's a light. It's not translucent. It does have a little bit of a brightening effect to it. So depending on where I'm going, what I'm doing, I will use this one if I want a little bit of color underneath my eyes or brightening. And I use this a lot with the e.l.f. brightening contour pen that I've reviewed a few times before. In fact, it's in the eyes video series of my top favorite. The next one is the NYX High Def, and this is kind of my go-to. This one is $9.43. And this one, again, I'm not gonna spill it all over my desk, but this is a high def. I love this one with this high def Makeup Forever because this is, as I said, a little bit thicker, and this just really sets that in place and makes sure that I don't have a bunch of creases. I also find that my pores look smaller, or I don't want to say they disappear, that would be a fabrication, but they definitely seem to, I don't see them as often. I don't look in the mirror and go, gosh, my pores look big when I wear this. And I do that with some others, and I don't feel like this sort of absorbs as my face gets oily throughout the day. I'm a big fan of this NYX one, and NYX is made by, you know, it's a L'Oreal company. So I just really love this brand. The next one is the RCMA, the original. Like, I just feel like this is sort of that that staple. This is the OG of face powder. This and Ben Nye, the banana one. But is there such a thing as the OG of face powder? If so, I've got to give it to RCMA. It is a oldie but goodie. The only reason I don't reach for it as much anymore is because you can kind of see the packaging is just, I don't know if that's showing up on camera, but it's just the packaging. Either the lid breaks or it just leaks out the side. I just struggle with the packaging of it, but the product itself is phenomenal. Number 4 is, no surprise, this is the Laura Mercier really finely milled under eye powder that everyone swears by, me included, regardless of the creasing or under eye area that you have. This stuff is hands down a good one, and I use the translucent, and this is the brightening powder. So that's the one I use, translucent number 1. And the number 5 powder is this Shiseido powder that I talked about before. It's $63. It's a loose powder, intensive coverage. I love this because it acts like a translucent powder, but it has a little bit of glow. So kind of going back to what I said earlier about wanting to look less matte and less sort of dry and cakey. This is, I think, why I maybe like this powder. Now, Shiseido is the parent company, obviously, to Shiseido, but it's also the parent company to Laura Mercier. So there's probably no wonder why they both do really good in their powders. Woo! You guys could see my desk. I've got stuff everywhere, but I hope this series has been helpful for you so far. So far we've covered eyes, lips, and the whole face. The next one in this series is going to be all about the cheeks, which will be blush and some really nice highlighters, cream, blush, and powder brush. I hope you're enjoying this series. If you've used any of these and you love them, please leave me a comment in the comment section below. It just helps other people verify and validate if it's a good choice for them or not, or if you've had some experiences that maybe didn't work so well for you, we'd love to hear that. And then if you would consider subscribing if this has been a video or a series that's been helpful, I really appreciate it. It helps people, women, people like us that are searching for good products, good price points, dry skin, oily skin. It helps them find this video and might help them out in their search for flawless foundation or a good moisturizer or whatever it is. So if we could help everyone else try to find what they're looking for on the internet in this world of so many videos, your subscription and your like and certainly your comments make a big difference. Thanks so much, everyone. Next one is cheeks. It'll be coming up in about a week, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.